You know that meme sound where it's like, hey, and the background's like boom, 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 boom. That's how I feel sitting down in front of a camera and a mic again, where I'm just like, hey, how's it going? But I truly, madly, deeply, I am so excited to be back, to be doing this, to my number one fan, my partner, who's like, when are you gonna upload your next episode? And I'm like, literally, you're so obsessed with me, get away, oh my god. But I'm also doing my best not to whisper. It's instinctual, because that's a word, right? Instinctual? Instinctive? It is my instinct to do that, because it is late at night. Late. It's 9:36. But I'm doing my, because it's like, to be on a mic and whispering is so counterproductive. I actually made a video about that not too long ago, because I went to this event and it actually sent me into a rage. Like, it was it overreacting? Likely, because I'm reactive. But this person who has a very similar octave range in the way that we speak, like, we sound very similar in our regular speaking voices, and they get on the mic an invention to amplify voices, plural. It actually sent me into a tizzy. Not to mention that the room that we're speaking to is not that big, and the fact that I could get up and project in a theater voice further than you on actual technology that is meant to project is ludicrous. But they get on the mic, and when speaking like this in a regular tone, gets on the horn and is like, hi everybody, hey, so I wanted to let everyone know that, and I'm like, are you kidding me, my guy? You got up there with the intent to let people in the room know what you had to say, and you're talking like a Alvin and the Chipmunk, all of the Chipmunks. You're talking like Theodore, I don't know their last name, Chipmunk, I presume. But yeah, sent me into a tizzy. So I cannot live long enough to see myself become the villain in that manner. So I will do my best to enunciate and to speak like a human being. And if I'm not, I give you all permission to show up with pitchforks digitally, not to my house, because I live with other people. But I am truly so excited to be back doing this. One, because these are rough times we're living in, if you were unaware. And I don't know, I think it's important to congregate with people that help you kind of navigate the madness or laugh through it. You know what I mean? So I'm very excited to be back. Also, I just finished a journal of mine for the very first time, so I'm an expert journaler, no big deal. And I would like to eventually go back through and tally all the times I say excited, and one, laugh at that, because get a thesaurus, bitch. But also, I think that's really cool to have so much enthusiasm for the future in spite of all the nonsense and terrifying things happening present day. But what I did also want to shout out was every last person that came over and followed me here from TikTok when we thought that shit was going away. And it may still. I think we did just pass a second time that it was supposedly going away, ? It was alleged. It was rumored. It was hearsay. I don't know. They postponed it, I think, and after the January, whatever the fuck that was. I don't know what to label that other than national collective trauma. Like, I remember I was like, this is what's this is what's going to bring me back to YouTube. And I was like, actually moments after the app went down, I'm teary-eyed. I'm like writing a script to talk about it on YouTube, and then I pass out, because you know that sleep after you cry, just that sleep hits different. It's so good, it's so deep, it's so rich. And then I wake up and everything's back online, and I was like, what were the theatrics for? That was literally traumatic and really rude, to be honest. But anyway, all the people, I think I'm like at, I don't know, 140, 150 followers on here. And that's, or subscribers, excuse me. Getting my sea legs back. But that is so cool that somebody, because I had this one that went, I don't even want to use the word viral, because not really, but it got some traction, and people like followed me over that specifically. They were like, oh my god, they laugh, and then they hit follow, and then they go to YouTube and they're like, also here. So that is so amazing. And especially the people that followed me on TikTok that knew, because the joke that I made was about TikTok going away, and for you to know that we're in the end times, or to think we're in the end times of TikTok but still follow me anyway, you're so real for that. So real for that. So what you can expect going forward is obviously podcast episodes, but I literally have 2 drafts already of when I got sterilized, and I just wanted to talk about that, as I'll probably upload it as a podcast too, but I wanted to do it. I have a makeup video on like what I did makeup wise for my party that I threw, my unbirthday party. And so I have 2 drafts of videos where I'm in that drag. And I don't know if I'll get into it again, but I don't know, something about both of those drafts I just didn't like, but maybe I'm just being a freak about it. Likely. Wouldn't put it past me. It wouldn't be the first time. But I want to talk about that just because that's kind of important right now. And I did it at the beginning of 2021, and I got that appointment in and scheduled because in the latter half of 2020, I was like, I'm so scared. I was also going to be having to switch insurances, which means I wasn't going to be able to access the doctor I'd been going to for years. And so I was like, my medical stuff is switching. The incoming president, like at the time when we were making appointments and I was trying to get stuff rolling for that, we didn't know who the president was going to be, and I was scared as fuck. And because of that and a number of other factors, I was crying in the office, and the nurse practitioner was like, I think taken aback by that, because she just gives me a box of tissues and was like, I'll be right back. And yeah, it all was able to happen relatively quickly after that. And it was at the beginning of 2021. Wow, 4 years. That's crazy. But I did want to talk about that just because I know a lot of people are looking for that procedure for a very good reason in today's climate. So that is on the docket. I did also sort of vlog New Zealand and Australia. So we'll see how that turned out. I did go to the Southern Hemisphere with my whole immediate family, and so it wasn't easy to vlog in the way that I would have liked to, because we were so busy. And I don't know if anyone has ever gone international with their immediate family, but more specifically their parents. If my parents are listening, love you. Love you so bad. XOXO. But it is not something that I think I was fully prepared for, just in general. But we'll talk about that more. We'll get there. We'll get there. Just letting you know that is on the docket. Also, most importantly, wee woo. I set up a voicemail. I'm so excited. I am going to link it down below. It'll be also in my link tree. And that way, because I know a lot of people don't want to write out their whole story. Like, I obviously, like in past episodes when, pulling We're Not Really Strangers cards, people would write in, and I was hoping, not that the Instagram DM was terrible, but I'm deleting Instagram. That is going to be no more, because I hate Marky Z, the Zuck. Hate him so bad. I want terrible things for him, where if I were to go into detail, this shit could get flagged. This shit can get flagged big time. So I will be doing what I can to cause harm to him legally and deleting my Instagram, because fuck that bitch. So Instagram DMs are going to be off the table. And so I would prefer email. However, I know people aren't super keen to type out or transcribe what they would want to submit. So I set up a voicemail, and again, have the link everywhere. It'll be in all the places, but I also wanted to unveil my new box of card. Oh wait, that's upside down. Wanted to break this open so we could get that going, guys. My friend Joe, friend of the pod, Joe, gave these to me because I had the initial one that I'd been using, and it was a rental. No, I was borrowing it from someone, and they wanted it back, as is their right, considering it's their game. So my friend Joe got me this. I actually saw Joe today and helped commit to the bit, because I showed up to a birthday party for someone that I don't know, but Joe has this running bit that me and this person know each other. And my friend was like, oh yeah, but no, you should totally come. He's brown and hot enough to be your friend. And I said, say no more, because I am only friends with hot people, in case that wasn't obvious. As in, like, all of my friends are sexy. So if you are here and you are listening to this, congrats, because it's literally in the pod name title, LLC. So, okay, so these are all, I forgot, these are put into levels. Personally, I just be skipping around. I don't remember. You see how long that's been? That's a tragedy. I don't remember if we went in any particular order with the previous questions, but wow, this was not an activity I should have staged post clipping my nails. But we'll see. I guess the levels aren't necessarily like the order you need to go in. I think it's the depth of the questions themselves. Okay. These, I don't think, are particularly pod ideal format for a pod, because these are just like perception, and I want to know like the weird shit of your guys' lives. I also might just like insert my own questions. This is just a jumping off point, by no means the end all be all. Okay. Oh, these are cute. Okay. All right, we could do like 2 and 3, I feel. I feel. Level 1, they're just like perception. So it's things like draw a picture together, 30 seconds. How likely am I to go camping? How high maintenance is my setup? Rate your dancing skills on a scale of 1 to 10. On the count of 3, say your answers out loud. And it's just like, obviously not ideal, but we got this going. So let's see. Should we do another question right now? I like this because I think we all kind of need this right now. What has been your earliest recollection of happiness? Boom, baby. That'll be our next one. Because I do think we all could use a little reflection in a positive aspect. Would love that. There's also this final card. God, I want to cheat so bad and I want to open that. Is that cheating? What if the final card is just to kiss? And we're not really strangers anymore. Well, we'll see. We'll see when we get there, I guess. Okay, so that'll be next pod. But I also did just want to update on things. And honestly, call me, beat me if you want to reach me. Write in, literally about whatever. It could be card related, but also just for funsies. If you're bored, call me instead of your ex if you're inebriated and need to vent or something. Granted, I think the time limit is like 5 minutes on the voicemail, so just putting that out there. You might not be able to get all you want to say in there, so just call back. I'll put 2 and 2 together. It'll be fine. But updates, because it's been a minute. If you couldn't tell, my room is cleaner than the last pod. Last pod, I actually was at my breaking point. If you couldn't tell in the number of times I would could not resist screaming, so I would turn away from the mic so it wouldn't pick up my yell, or what's that term? Not like give feedback through the mic, but basically like when it maxes out in the audio capacity. I didn't want to absolutely obliterate someone's eardrums, but yeah, I was having a rough time, but doing much better now. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact it is because of astrology, but let me get there, okay? For you naysayers, for you doubters, I like astrology in the same way I like tarot. I don't know what other people's perception of tarot is necessarily. I feel like people that don't actively use it are very either unsure or they think they know, but they don't really. I think they think that it's a way to tell the future, when the way I use it and the way most people that I know use it, we use it as a way to sort of get a different perspective on something, like a question we have or an obstacle that we're going through. And we use it as a way to shift how we look at something. And it's not necessarily to get answers in an immediate play-by-play rubric of what you should do or how you should handle something. It's kind of like, well, have you considered? And then you're like, oh, fuck, you're right. Okay, got it. So that's how I use tarot. And I look at astrology in a similar way, where it can help me understand more about myself if I learn a certain aspect of my chart and what a certain placement means, or how a transit affects a house, My understanding, very rudimentary. If there's any astrologer in the chat, they're probably like, oh my god, if I'm using terms out of place or incorrectly, they're like, absolutely being like, you idiot. Well, yes, guilty. But I did pretty recently, like to the last episode, or pretty proximal to the last episode, was this thing that I saw where it was letting people know that they should, as far as a career placement, a career type, they should be looking at their moon sign. And my moon is in Taurus, and that was an indicator, or it's supposed to be an indicator, I guess, allegedly, that those with a Taurus moon prefer stability in their job. And when I read a full breakdown of the whole thing, I was like, oh yeah, right on the money. That's it. Because, as I said, I was screeching in the last episode because things were not going according to plan, and I wasn't like receiving the compensation I was told I was going to. I did a project in March of 2024, and I was told I would receive a certain compensation for that. And then I didn't. And then the season in which the last pod was filmed rolled around again. And so I went through those several months, albeit I did take a bit of a backseat and I was a lot more hands-off. I didn't do the social media aspect that I had done the year before. I didn't do any of the content creation that I had done the year before. And even still, I was like, I actually hate this because it wasn't fulfilling to me. It wasn't suiting my creative ideals. Like, it was creating, yes, but it wasn't doing it in the way that I wanted. It wasn't creating my vision. It was creating a vision for someone else, which is fine if that's your bag, but that wasn't it's not mine. I've discovered in the however long you and I have been apart, it was something I did not realize until coming across this astrology thing that, oh, no, actually not a fan. And then the stability of it was not there. It wasn't there. And just hearing that from an outside perspective, I was like, okay, that actually makes a whole lot of sense, because I don't know, I just didn't think of that before. And that's why I love, well, not why entirely, but one of the many reasons why I love my job now is because it is stable for now. We'll see. Times are changing, the tides are turning, things are happening, and they're not all good. In fact, mostly bad. But for now, it is stable, and that is ideal for me. Whereas, like, in the creative industry, it's not, as I don't need to explain that to artists, but the creative fields are not fully stable, if at all, if ever. Dear God. And so I realized, and this is me, I'm breaking a cardinal rule of mine, where, like, I do not talk about my job off the clock, because that's so fucking boring, dude. Like, when my friend and I, we would go to trivia night, we would go every Wednesday, but it was just the two of us. So when we would get to the bar, pub thing, as only two, we would need to get into another group of people that we would be sitting around, right? And so because it's just the two of us, and we're every week getting paired with groups of brand new people we've never met before, great way to meet people. 10 out of 10, recommend. But at least in America, it's just so boring. Like, the way, again, I'm trying not to yell, sorry, but it's so boring, dude. Like, the way Americans are conditioned to have that immediate commonality or way to learn more about somebody. They're just like, hey, exchange names, and they're like, so what do you do? When, oh my God, dude, if you are in the workforce, if you are a teen coming up in the workforce, there are so many more interesting things about you than your job. You are so much cooler, more bountiful, more substantive than a job. Even if it's like you're like it's more than a job, it's a career. I don't give a flying fart in the wind. You're so much cooler and more dimensional than a career. Ew. Anyway, so at the time, I would lie to people because lying to strangers is always fun. And that's that on that. But people would be like, oh, so what do you do? I hated my jobs at the time. I did not care for them. One of them involved like working retail, and I was like, it makes me want to kill myself. Working retail makes me want to kill myself. And so, hey, guess what? I'm not gonna fucking talk to you about that off the clock. Absolutely not. You're high if you think otherwise. And so I would just tell people, I'm like, oh, I just produce podcasts because I did a couple times. Now it will be more regular, and you have to hold me to that. Loop back to the pitchfork thing, okay? But at a certain point, I would just lie and be like, state secret, actually can't disclose that to a layman. What security clearance do you have? Oh, yeah, can't tell you otherwise. Sorry about it. And then like my friend who is a doctor was like, oh, I'm a psychologist, and they'd be like, oh, fascinating, and then it was just fucking Borosnoro because they just want to drill my friend about her field. And oh brother, it's a whole thing. So I'm not going to discuss the finer details, but just overarching, I think it's not really talked about enough because we put so much emphasis on jobs as Americans, and it's like, obviously we need to make a living and earn money, but people put so much of their personal identity into their job when really that's what it is. It's you clock in, you earn a living, you get out. Unless you love your job, your career, and it's your lifeblood, and you breathe it, you live it, you laugh it, you love it, that's great. That's great. Love that for you. That is not the case for so many people. So many people. And I realized with the career path that I was intending to pursue, over the course of the time I have come to know my mentor in that field, I thought, as for those that don't know, like I need to be deleting it. If it's not deleted by now, again, pitchforks, come find me. But it should be deleted by now. But I've had and maintained a special effects makeup Instagram, and I have done it for like indie movies and things like that. But when I met my mentor, I was under the impression that it was something I could do out the gate, like right out of school. I thought you could just join a union and be fine. That is so not the case. I think it's the 706 union. I could be getting that wrong, but I think it's the 706 down in LA. And oh my God, the rules that you have to follow in order to get into the union are not only so rigorous and low-key, not impossible, obviously, because people do it, but they're not written anywhere. So you could accidentally fuck up, and then that fully erases a year of your work. And I could be wrong because it's been a minute since I've paid attention to / learned all of this, but it was like, it's 5 of a rolling 7-year period, and you have to get a certain number of hours on a project, and those projects have to meet certain stipulations. And my mentor was like, yeah, I have a friend down there who a whole year of her work and all of those hours that could have gone towards her year of the 5 and the 7 rolling years, those were discredited because the Netflix episodes that she worked on were 18 minutes and the minimum number of minutes in runtime need to be 22. And I was like, is your friend okay? Because I would have lost it. Like, you would have seen me on Dateline running naked with a machete down the interstate. Like, I would have absolutely lost my fucking mind. But yeah, it's just things like that. And so I learned that and I was like, oh, put that into perspective. And then I learned that special effects makeup artists actually aren't brought in until prosthetics get involved. And a lot of the time, it's just the regular makeup artists that do scrapes. They'll do blood splatter. They do minor cuts, things like that. But I was like, oh, I really don't want to be just a regular makeup artist, because then I have to do beauty, and beauty makeup is so boring to me. Like, it gives me no joy. Zero, absolutely none. And so I was like, okay, well, and my mentor put it into perspective. Like, okay, so if you're doing 100 days of shooting, the makeup artist will be on set for 100 days, whereas the special effects makeup artist, they'll be on set for 18 to 25 of those days, maybe. And I was like, oh, okay, so the work is more sparse. You have leaner paychecks. Got it. And then I obviously, it should have been like a given, but just like with the bigger box office stuff, you have absolutely no creative freedom, but then you have more when it comes to the smaller productions or indie things. And I was like, okay, word. Well, then I'll just do indie. And she was like, okay, that's fine, but that's not where the money is. And I said, oh, word, got it. Well, that's where the passion and passion project comes in, right? She's like, sure, whatever floats your boat. And then I worked on these indie projects. And some people are really cool. I feel there's have to be some people that are on the in-between, but spectrum-wise, there are people that are really cool or people that are really fucking annoying, where like we worked on this one project. Mind you, it's huge. It not only in consumption of time, but it's a very physically large project. And we worked on it for ages. And my mentor was like, okay, so he thinks he wants it this way, but he's really going to want it that way. So we're going to have to build it this way. So when he comes in to take a look at them in person, he's going to see that this way isn't as good as that way. And when we build it this way, we just need to be mindful of how we're going to disassemble it so that we can then build it that way. And I'm like, why are we building it this way when we should just build it that way, though? It's obvious. Just send him a picture. He'll know instantly that it's so much better that way. And she's like, because he's just going to want to see it in person. And I'm just like, I think I'm really not hip on the whole trying to foresee just this random white guy who got a $50,000 check cut to him. I'm not real keen on trying to be a mind reader and guess his wants and needs, only to then do double the work just so I could be right. Do you know what I mean? Like, it makes sense that that's the way she went about it because of his personality type. But I'm like, I asked her, I was like, is that personality type very common in this space? And she was like, oh, just a guy getting cut a check for a couple tens of thousands and being like, I'm gonna make my vision. Yeah, that is pretty common. And I was like, oh. And then all of the kinetic energy that was once in the passion portion of Passion Project was absolutely zapped from that hypothetical for me. And so, not to mention, after having been on set for a number of shoots, I was like, I actually don't care about being on set. I don't want to apply makeup on people on a set. Again, brings me no joy. What I do want to do is be involved in the creation of these prosthetics. I want to make this stuff that then goes to set. And then I learned that that's actually not the makeup artist's idea. Like I think I mentioned this before, like my mentor is very much jack of all trades, like can do it all, like prop master stuff, makeup artist, like just does so much in the terms of production, special effect, like so much. And they were able to tell me like, oh, that's actually not the makeup artist's job. Like that's not in your job description. And I was like, okay, well, who does that? She's like, that's the shop people, the people that are in the shops. She was like, it is a big time boys club. And I'm like, that's fine. I've held my own in male dominated spaces before. Like I'm not new to that. I'm true to that. And she's like, well, they're not unionized, so red flag. Oh my god, red flag. That's crazy. That is so crazy to me. And on top of that, she told me that a lot of them, and this could be outdated info if you work in a shop by chance, just randomly happen to be listening to this, first off, you're doing amazing work. Yeah, they aren't unionized. And she told me, again, this could be outdated because I don't think she's worked in a shop for other people. As like she's got her own shop now, but I don't think she's worked in one for others for a while now. But she said that they make anywhere from like 16 to maybe 20 an hour. And I'm like, 16? She was like, on average, it's like $16 to $18 an hour. And I'm like, that's insane, because they're the ones making the shit possible and exposing themselves to all the chemicals in an enclosed space. Like, what the fuck? And they're not unionized. Insanity. All that to say, like, over this time that I was exposed to the itty bitty teeny tiny corner of the industry that I thought I wanted to be in for years, like actual majority of my life, I thought, like, ever since I saw Lord of the Rings, I was like, I want to make orcs. Like, I am this big. I am a wee bab. And I saw the orcs and I was like, those are sick. Or I guess I'm a child, so I'm like, those are sick. I want to make those. Yeah, that's an impression of 5-year-old me. I wanted to make them so badly. I wanted to be involved in the process. I was like, these are incredible. These are works of art. I want to make orcs and monsters and zombies and you fill in the blank. I want to make it. And just being exposed to that itty bitty portion of the industry over time, everything I learned about it, I was like, no, okay, not that. Okay, that's out. And so it just kept getting more and more refined until this past October, I was like, and you know what? I'm out. And you know what? I actually don't have to do this because I'm still in it and still doing stuff and being sad and not fulfilled creatively. And so, yeah, it was a lot. So you're never too late to make that revelation. If shit's not making you happy, you can leave. I mean, I know that's so easily said when that was an elective field that I wasn't really in so much. Like, I wasn't even unionized up here. Like, I was just doing indie stuff on the low for free. Not for free. I was promised compensation and then not delivered. Besides the point. And yeah, it's just it was so freeing in a way though, because I told one of my friends about it, and because she's known, like, that's been something that I wanted to do forever. And like, it's also so funny because people, they just see you do like a slapped together haphazard makeup thing and they're like, oh my god, you should be on Face Off. And I'm like, no. Also, my mentor was asked to be on Face Off, and she's telling me all of the ins and outs of things that they do on the production end to try to synthesize storylines. And yeah, it's not good. And she's like, it's also low-key a career killer because people that have been on the show just really don't. They have a hard time working in the industry just because of that kind of exposure that they've received through the show. So I was like, well, I wasn't going to be on it anyway, but I'm extra not going to be on it now. And yeah, just everyone in my life has known, like, oh, Frankie does makeup. Oh, Frankie does body paint and carve stuff and does prosthetics. But when I told my friend, I was like, yeah, so all of this mess happened and I don't want to do this anymore. And she's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And I was like, no, this is really freeing, I think. Like, I feel unchained. Like, like, you know, those wolf memes. If you know what I'm talking, maybe I can put a picture in here somewhere, but I feel like one of those. Two wolves are no longer raging inside me. It's just one, and he's free. And yeah, I feel really good about that. But again, I know the job market is actually crazy right now. So if you have a job, maybe hold on to that. Not that, you know, again, my time, my place, my status in the industry was much of anything, but I'm so thankful that I was I was able to experience that for what it was and realize that's not for me. Also, this mentor straight up saved me $30,000. Like, it would have cost me $30,000 to go to the school that I wanted to down in LA. Oh, thank God. You know, maybe I'm not too upset about that compensation I didn't receive. Maybe it will all be fine. But yeah, it's just like a big pivot in career stuff. And I don't know, I think some people feel too stuck, or like they waited too long, or like, oh no, but I've been doing this for forever, I couldn't find something new. You totally can. You 100% can. And I don't talk about my job again because off the clock, but also for like doxing purposes. I am in a career field that I never thought I would be in, but it rocks. It rocks for so many reasons, but a lot of it I think is also because of the stability, and it's something that like fulfills me, not necessarily creatively, but it is involved with things that I'm passionate about. Very appreciative of that. So you can do it. It might take a minute to pivot in this environment, but if I could do it, you could do it. I never thought I'd be in this field. And to be honest, I thought I was incredibly underqualified, but I did it anyway, and I applied, and I made it, and I'm learning. So again, if I can do it, look at me. I feel like I look so unserious. If I can do it, you can do it. Picture like Uncle Sam motivation, minus the colonialism and imperialism behind the imagery, but you know what I mean. Actually, speaking of that, I was thinking for a different job. Like, I was thinking about going to work for my nation, my tribal nation, but that is in a place, I know we're a sovereign nation, but I would find myself in a state that doesn't agree with my politics. So I was thinking about moving to go be closer to my people, but that is, I don't think, possible here in this moment. Also, if I need to flee the country, I'm a lot closer to a way out where I am now than where I would be elsewhere. Catch my drift? For legal purposes, that is a joke, and I love this place. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so I did go to New Zealand, and that shit was incredible. Not only obviously for the nature, duh, look at that place, please, but to see the way the Maori people get to be stewards of their land and be involved in leadership. And I mean obviously like their government still has issues. Like most recently there was like a habitual misinterpretation of a piece of legislation from ages ago where they like intentionally misinterpreted something that is a core Maori like tenet to life. And so they're working through that right now. I think in Parliament is what their government structure is called. And so I know it's not perfect by any means. And obviously no place that has been touched by white colonialism will ever be. But to see like all of the language everywhere, like you would see the names everywhere and language constantly displayed. You'd see like the English name right underneath the Maori name. Oh my gosh, it was incredible. And we went to this place called Tipua, where it was a trade school for basket weaving and for wood carving. And it has the third largest geysers in the world. So I think the first being Old Faithful. I think the second one's in Iceland. And then this one at Tipua was, oh my gosh, amazing to see. It felt like we were walking on the surface of the moon. Like it was so otherworldly is really the only thing I can use to describe it. It just the lighting of it, and it just felt like that white texture of a rock. Oh my gosh, it was so cool. And we got to get so close to the geysers. And my sister, and it was also, I think, a full moon. If not, it was getting there. It was pretty close. But my sister looks down at me and she's like, damn, you know the coolest part of this? This is their land and they can do what they want with it. And people of any, I think, Maori descent can go and they can learn trades and like the arts like that. They can learn wood carving and basket weaving. I think they had a third one, but it was so amazing to see not only the art that they produce there, but the landscape of the land around the area. Because it was in this place called Rotorua, which is pretty rural. And I was like, yeah, that is in fact sick as hell. And I haven't seen a place where Indigenous peoples have been in that much control over how their land gets occupied and like what you can do with it and on it, and the permissions just like lying with the people whose land it is. It was just so cool to see and really made me hopeful for like what's possible, just and also reflective on national parks and how I just remember going to Yellowstone. And on so many of the signs, they're like, the Shoshone this, the Shoshone that, the Shoshone used to hunt sheep from here, the Shoshone used, and I'm just like, damn, where are they? I feel like they should be still here on this park land that you have taken. Crazy. Because they'd be like, the Shoshone lived at this basin from this mountain, and I'm like, damn. And now what, bitch? Like, it's crazy. So it just gave me a lot of hope for what is possible. And then in Australia, I remember I saw something from Australia where at the footnote of it, it had a land acknowledgement. And I have a very complicated feeling about land acknowledgements in general, just because they feel like, in a word, lackluster. And it was so strange to see. They had the same land acknowledgement. I'm pretty much verbatim everywhere. They had it said before bus rides. They had it in the subway stations. They had it like on the radio. They had it everywhere, and it was the same thing from the footer of this email. And I'm just like, this feels real diluted, like just really watered down. I'm not 100% on, because I was able to go to like Maori sites and see and get a good vantage point as to like how the Maori people experience a lot of stuff within New Zealand. And then I didn't see much in the way of like how Australia interacts with current Native and Indigenous populations. Like I just could have not been in cities with high Indigenous populations. Also, I barely planned. Again, probably not the best if you're going with your immediate family, but it was still very cool to see. I will be going back, and I do 100%. That's on my list of things that I want to see more of, especially in Australia. I do want to go to the southern island of New Zealand. That shit was so pretty to see. The northern island is mostly farmland, and so I want to see what the southern island is about. Also see some of the penguins they got down there, because I saw some penguins in Australia, in Melbourne. But yeah, would love to see more of like what Australia is doing for its current Indigenous populations. I saw a lot of stuff about what had happened in the past, and again, it felt really vague. It was like, so this is honoring this person who was kidnapped from here, and I'm like, when was she kidnapped? What tribe was she kidnapped from? Where does that tribe live? Like, it felt really just glazed over. And then there was this one thing that I went to. It was in New Zealand. It was crazy. So it was this lost village that got covered from a volcano eruption rather, from a volcano eruption. And it was like, yeah, there were 12 missionaries and 150 Maori people. And I was like, okay, I've learned the name and the backstory, like in this museum type thing, and this outside area of where they were able to excavate some of the structures and homes that were in this village. And I'm like, I've learned 8 of the 12 Dutch or French missionaries. What about any of the Maori people? There were 150. Give me a couple. And there was like one that was acknowledged when it came to the outside walkthrough portion, because their home was able to be found, like the foundation of it. And then because the power was out in the museum, they didn't have us go in, and they just gave us a discounted rate for a ticket. But then by the time we got done with the outside portion, the power was back on, so then we just went inside. I think that was allowed. I don't know, too late now, we saw it. So we went to the inside portion, and they did have like the lists of all of the names of people that they knew to be there. So that was something. But yeah, I definitely want to see more of that next time I go down. 10 out of 10. Could not recommend enough. Like, it was so cool to see. Oh, and another part that was, I don't know if you guys are on that side of TikTok where you see teachers and like what they are talking about, and sometimes it's really disappointing. Not the teachers, but what the teachers have to say in regards to their kids and what they're learning, or how they're learning, or where they're at in their learning journey. Like people that teach 7th grade or high school being like, yeah, they're reading at a level much lower than their current grade, and it bums me out big time. Or they'll just show how certain students don't fully comprehend certain lesson plans and where it falls short, and it's often just because of reading and stuff. And every time I hear that about kids especially, I get like really discouraged. I'm like, oh my god, how is the future going to be shaped when the kids can't read. But I was able to go visit my cousin for his birthday. My cousin has 2 kids, and they, thank goodness, they're so smart, and I think that they will keep that spark alive. His partner and the kids' mom facilitates like their curiosity and their learning all the live long day. And so I was reading with them because they had this big animal book and they're really into nature and animals and stuff. And we saw a cassowary, which I'll put a picture potentially somewhere. If not, look up what a cassowary is. It's supposedly, I'm pretty sure that they said that it's the last living dinosaur. And you look at that thing, oh my God. Is it the same thing? Let me look it up. Is it the same creature from Up? Cassowary. I'm pretty sure because when we saw it, my sister was like, oh my God, look, it's Kevin from Up. You know what? Not quite, but kind of. not quite, but yeah, it's got this crazy color palette on it, like its face and its neck. It's so vibrant. And so I was showing his kids that, and they were like, oh my God, that's a dinosaur. And I was like, the last one. And I was showing them how fast they can run and how they can ruin people's picnics if they get too close. It was really cool to see, especially because like my cousin just texted me and he's like, the kids said our cousin saw the last living dinosaur and they're spitting out cassowary facts. And so so cool to see. Like they love learning. So that was the conclusion of our trip. So like we get back to America. I got to stay with a friend, my homie, my bestie till the resty. Got to stay with her in San Francisco and then go up to my cousin's house. And I have never been on so many flights in my life. And keep in mind, I almost missed my flight from Redacted to Dallas because I forgot to book my flight from up here in the PN Dub. I forgot to book it from up here to Redacted. So I would have missed my flight from Redacted to Dallas entirely if I think it was my dad that caught that in the itinerary and I was like, oh, thank God. I would have been so pissed. But I had to fly from here to Redacted, from Redacted to Dallas, Dallas to Auckland, Auckland to Melbourne, Melbourne to Cairns, Cairns to Sydney, Sydney to San Francisco. No, Sydney to Fiji, Fiji to San Francisco. 8 planes in 3 weeks. Maybe that's not much to like the average metropolitan jet setter, but oh, good googly moogly, I was so done. So by the time we get to my cousin's house, which is in California, I was like, I'm done. I'm driving. So I drove all the way up through California, through Oregon, back here to the PN Dub. I was like, I can't do this anymore. So big shout out to I-5. Thank you for being a long, straight forward road. Much appreciated. Because I could not do that for the life of me. But vacation is over. I'm back in action. I must go to work tomorrow. So sorry, but that is where I will leave you today. It's been so nice catching up. I'm so excited to hear your guys' voicemails. And yeah, you can leave your name on them if you feel so inclined. You can leave your email. I don't have it to where it's required for either of those. You can do whatever. You can keep it anonymous. Up to you. Up to you. I will be deleting it after it's recorded and like inserted into the pod. So no worries there. But yeah, I'm so excited. Okay, so, and remember, what has been your earliest recollection of happiness? Also, if you call in with whatever. Have you been to Australia? What was your experience? Have you been to New Zealand? Tell me about it. I want to know all the details. I'm here for this. I'm so excited. Also, is this the name? I think Frankie Needs Friends is also the name of my spam TikTok. And I feel much more free to just post whatever on that account versus my other one. Maybe it's because I have some mutuals on that account with like millions of followers, and they're really pretty. And it makes me nervous to post things on there. So I don't follow anyone on my spam account other than like my accounts. So I'm like talking to myself, and if people happen to see it, they happen to see it. I'm just screaming into the void, and sometimes the void screams back. Sometimes it likes a post. So if you see it in said void, I don't know if it'll let me put the link in that bio yet because I don't have that many followers, but we'll see. Please call in. I'm so excited to have this set up and so excited to be back, you guys. So excited. So yeah, keep an eye out. I will be having more videos out in relation to just videos, pods, things like that. And again, if you came all the way here from the talk, big shout out. You're so real for that. So I will see you in the next one, and keep on keeping on, guys. Shit's rough out there, but we got it. I love you so much. I'll talk to you later. Bye.